What's up, fellow lords of gaming, and welcome back to another episode of Marvel Future Fight. So today we're going to jump into the content update for the man, the myth, the legend, right? It's crazy that we're getting a new costume for Carnage, right? And that it looks this damn amazing. Is he the baddest T4 on the planet? No, not really. I don't think that that's what people are saying so far. Is he a good T4? Probably, most likely. Just for the looks of the costume, I would probably purchase this. Like I remember when he got his T3, I had him ready to be T3'd simply because it was Carnage, right? And he's just a cool character. I still have the Maximum Carnage comic book, and I think this uniform is just balls to the wall amazing. Like if we had to look at MFR and think about where members of the development team went, maybe the artistic department, maybe they went somewhere over here with Marvel Future Fight. I don't know. But that raises another thing that I want to jump on really quickly here, right? Is the fact that Marvel Future Fight is 7 years old, guys. Can you believe that? 7 years old. I can't believe that. I've been playing this game for that long, right? And we have a new celebration that is coming. We have 150 million registered global users. Now, I don't want to, mislead people. That doesn't mean that we have 150 million dedicated concurrent players. If we just hit the 150 million worldwide agents, people who have created accounts and stuff like that, right? But in honor of that celebration achievement, we're basically going to get a tier 3 character selector. So this is pretty cool. Basically, any character that you want to take, well, not any characters, a list of characters that you want to take to tier 3 is going to be available to you. And they include the normal staple: Captain America, Iron Man, Spider-Man, Ant-Man, Thor, Black Panther, Captain America Sharon Rogers, Captain Marvel, Cyclops, Winter Soldier, Black Widow, Hulk, Black Bolt, Storm, Ghost Rider, Venom, Loki, Rogue, Daredevil, and Vision. So the really cool part about this is that there's a couple of characters in here that we know have tier 4s right now. So this could really help you reduce your cost in terms of getting to tier 4, namely Thor and Hulk are probably going to be at the top of the list, followed probably behind like Black Widow and Storm. I think Storm probably be the last one on the list there. And then Venom is in there as well, right? I think Venom's probably like in between Black Widow and Storm, realistically. That would be a suggestion, right? And don't forget that we are still awaiting some form of speed character, right? Oh, I forgot all about Iron Man is inside here. Iron Man, where would I place Iron Man in a tier 4 category? I really do believe that Thor and Hulk are probably out in the lead. Iron Man's probably right there with them. And then I would say probably like Venom, Black Widow, and then Storm is inside there as well. So, you choose how you want to see, but the bottom line is that this is a great celebration for the players. I think that overall it's a really nice thing to see that, for 7 years we've been playing this game and we're going to get rewarded. Now, I think the sad part is that for a celebration such as this, right, there's not going to be a lot of players who are going to really benefit from this in terms of like veterans, right? Because at tier 3, we'll get the bios basically for them or whatever. But I think most of us have these characters already tier 3. Like I think the only character in here that I don't have tier 3 is probably Daredevil. Yeah, I think Daredevil is Ant-Man. Daredevil and Ant-Man are the only characters in here that I don't have T3'd. And to be honest with you, they're not probably that worth it to tier 3, but we'll digress, right? So anyways, we've got that, right? And then we've got the update for the we got the symbiote invasion update with Carnage, and we got the buff for Gore. So let's address the buff for Gore right out the bat, right? So essentially what we had was that 80% chance to penetrate was moved to his tier 2 skill, or his 2 skill, and his 2 skill was given the ignore targeting effect on it. So this is attacking enemies who have enabled ignore targeting. This is really good, right? And this is what a lot of players were saying was ultimately really needed in order to make the character viable and, a little bit more powerful than what he was already. Truth 100% true from my end, right? These are very small changes in my opinion, especially when you look at it as like increase 40% attack. We got some changes in like 2 seconds here. I'm gonna imagine for the life of me that they probably went back and they probably reworked these based on some actual things to bring his power level within range. But my truth is that with the changes for the portraits and stuff like this, it kind of disappoints me a little bit. I have a reason specifically why, right? Is because what I was hoping for essentially with Gore is that we were going to probably at some point this time, especially since we're in the symbiote invasion #2, you know, we're still centered around the Necro Sword and stuff like that, is that we were going to get the costume, the comics accurate costume for Gore. And that was going to be his entry to the T4 window. And that was where we were going to see some power so that he was somewhat balanced. Obviously, we don't want a T3 necessarily that is as powerful as the T4 characters and upending them, which is, I think, where a lot of people are judging the character in terms of where he sits. He's just not very usable even at T3, realistically, level 80. But I was hoping that that's what we were going to get. Them taking the time to fix the portraits and the poses to try to make him look a little bit more menacing kind of deal. I really don't know how I feel about this because I feel like this is going to be a delayed thing of when we get this comic accurate Gore. And I'm really like, I leveled up Gore specifically because I want Gore the God Butcher from the comics, not Christian Bale Gore. The movie Gore to me was trash. That's just me being truthful, right? But outside of that, we basically got the Carnage, the Fallen Soul uniform. And I have to say, this is an amazing uniform. It's an amazing looking uniform. The sad part about this uniform is that not a lot of people are going to be able to get this uniform. So if you're like a free-to-play player, this is that area where, you know, you have to understand where you're spending your money and where you're not spending money. You know what I mean? Because you need these bios, and the only way to get those bios is to make that monthly purchase subscription here. So you either have the chance of making the monthly purchase subscription, or you go in here and you purchase an upgrade ticket for the mean cost of $40. So essentially, Carnage coming to the game with this new uniform, you're basically essentially, and his tier 4, you're basically essentially looking at a $50 purchase, you know, 1,000 crystals for the uniform, and then probably another 1,000 crystals to purchase the uniform, and then another $40 in order to, if you don't have an upgrade ticket already, another $40 to level him up, because that's just what it is. His uniform options, not necessarily so bad. I've seen them from other videos. You got Wong, you got Odin, you've got Human Torch, and then you've got like Magneto's old uniform and stuff like that inside there. Still not necessarily bad to me. I hate that when we go back to uniforms though. Like if the uniform hasn't had any relevancy within the past year and there's a newer uniform, I hate that it goes back to those old uniforms. But I understand we still got to try to find a way to sell old uniforms in order to keep monetization go, because otherwise we won't have this game for another 7 more years. This is the truth of the matter. Like, you know, we hate to talk about that, but that's the truth of the matter, is that they have to have the game is based around how much money can support the game and how much of the player base there is. So if we're not supporting the game monetarily, we can't expect game in return. So here goes something interesting that I want to talk about, right? Outside of just how you know, Carnage's skills look and things like that, is interestingly enough his third skill, right? So I want to pay particular attention because there's a specific piece that we lost from Venom that we now have on Carnage. He's a particle of biometrics will fall off. Touching it will result in some health recovery. So if you remember, Venom did this, right? Basically, his skill would activate as a striker. He would have some blobs fall off, and you collect those blobs, and then you could basically run around and be like, ah, I got some healing. And people used him a lot as a striker because of that. So the only way to figure that out, we have to see. Let me go inside here real quick because I don't really know how else to do this. Basically, we go inside here. Let's take a look at the world boss skills inside here. It's ready up on any team that we have. Set allies. Okay, so we have that inside here, and what we're looking for is Carnage, right? So let's, why didn't it do my search for me? It does. Oh, my bad. So let's look up Carnage inside here and see what skill, oops, my bad, what skills is Carnage using as a striker. So unfortunately, we see the bad bit here, right? Because he's utilizing his 2 skill. So we're not going to be able to utilize him the same way we would have used Venom, where he was casting that ability inside here and then we got it, right? So unfortunately it is what it is, but you know, whatever. It is what it is. Don't look at that striker list. I haven't played any of these World Boss regular ones in so long. So let's take a look at that, right? So bottom line is, let's take a look back at Carnage and see what we've got here. I'm blown away by the uniform, but again, I caveat this with the understanding that this is going to be an expensive hero because it's going to be locked out to a lot of free-to-play players because, like I said, you're basically essentially paying about $50 to upgrade Carnage so that way you can use him. And it's going to be hard to suggest him as a T4 character for you unless you just absolutely love the character, because I think, unfortunately, at this point, we know that there are better combat class heroes in the T4 section. Namely, Hulk and Venom, right? So that bit sucks. But let's take a look at his skills overall, which were quite the market improvement, right? Like I said, so when we look at them, we're definitely looking at his Absolute Madness skill that he has. Excuse me, his Absolute Madness skill that he has inside here, where it's got some changes for his ultimate. We also look at his leadership, and we know that his leadership has also changed a little bit. So now we've got remove all debuff and increase all basic defense. It applies to all allies with symbiotes. We also see that he's got this really cool new striker effect. His striker effect is basically, when we look at this here, you get the recovery of HP equal to 5% of the damage dealt. It stacks at a max of like 10% damage dealt. And then it's up to 10% of max HP at once. Activates again after 0.3 seconds, and you increase the basic damage by 25%, which can stack up to 75%. So you know the way the striker skills work, right? That's the top level. Really cool as well is that his new artifact. I'm actually digging Carnage's new artifact because it essentially gives him the Hella effect, right? So when his HP is below 5%, he has guard break immunity, and his HP doesn't drop below 1%, and he recovers 50% after the effect ends, and you can recover an additional HP up to max 100% per your total instinct. So that's a really cool badge. Hopefully, I'm not a huge fan of the artifact system, but the hope is that they will trigger at some point down the road a way for us to obtain this artifact for free. Otherwise, this becomes an even more expensive hero because we're essentially looking like $70 down the pipe for the character. Because if you want to try to dig for that artifact, you can get it in free ways and you don't have to pay for it, because there is no way really to pay for it. Then you have to do that, right? So let's take a look at some of his skills, because I think the animations on them are actually pretty cool. I don't want to change you. Cancel out of that. Combat settings. Turn on the skill VFX. That's what I wanted to see. So let's take a look at his one skill. Not a lot happening on the skill at all, and it's just kind of a straight line attack because I was playing around with it earlier, and if if they're not in that line attack, it's not really affecting them right at all, right? And then we look at his 2 skill. This one is the one that has the ignore targeting inside of it. So you're essentially looking at this skill, right? And not his 2 skills, on his 3 skill. So his 2 skills, like this paralysis kind of effect, not really doing anything. I think the spikes popping up kind of look cool, but not a whole lot there. His 3rd skill is the one that has the ignore targeting on it. Let's take a look at that skill, and it spans. And then here you can see all the little blobs that are pasted, and you can collect those and you heal, right? Now, the interesting thing about his 3rd skill is the cancellation effect of it, right? There's a timing thing here where you have to delay cancel out of his 3rd skill as he does the roar. Otherwise, you miss out on those tentacles, right? So it's here, and then you got to cancel right out of that to do it. If you try to immediately cancel out, you miss out on the tentacles, right? And the tentacles don't really happen. So it's like, I know I didn't even click at that time. It's a weird ass skill to play with. It's just really weird. So his 4th skill, I really like this skill. It kind of like definitely has that, I don't know why when I see that skill, I think of Woody Harrelson. That's what I think of the Carnage movie, even though I didn't like that movie, right? His 5th skill, a lot of damage numbers on both his 4 and 5 skill. So the rotation that I think is going to be best is probably going to be 3, 4, 5. Let them play out so that way you get all the hits on them. Is essentially like the way it's going. You can see all the damage that's accumulating there. Really simple. And then when his 6 and 7 are available, then use those. The 6th skill still looks pretty much, you know, it's Carnage. It's sick. I like it. It's just maximum Carnage, right? So it's a really cool and beautiful looking skill kit overall with Carnage. I think they've done a good job. I just, you know, I hate to say it, but usually these mid-month updates, a lot of times, sometimes they roll into the wheelhouse of this isn't really for free-to-play players. This is a chance for us to kind of recoup some money. You know, I hate to say this, and this is just me being absolutely true, right, to the game and true to the players, right? But when you look at what we've got for the updates from the month of August through to the month of September, you've gotten a lot as free-to-play players. You've got T4 Hulk. This is a free-to-play player's dream, and he's one of the best T4s in the game. That's just absolutely true, right? You got a very good leadership character in terms of combat class She-Hulk. And the leadership that she can provide and the playability that she can provide. Can't really complain about that, right? You also got Venom. He's a very good T4. Very, very good T4 with a very, very good support team lead that you can use. Not a bad character. Another free-to-play instance, right? And a very popular character. We also got Scream, right? Scream is basically another version of Sharon Rogers now, right? Like, she just feels really good to play. She feels really powerful. So there was a lot given in this update, in my opinion. Like, even Gore, the God Butcher, is a free-to-play character at this point, right? Like, it didn't require you to do anything. It's just completely free to play. You might not be able to get him right now, but there was the point that I'm making here is that there was a lot given to the free-to-play players, and you're getting ready to get something even more, where you're going to be able to lock a T3 character of your choosing from that list of characters that I said. So this is really, really good overall for free-to-play players. So at this point, you know, Netmarble trying to recoup some of that money by, you know, saying we've invested this, you know, you guys invest back in us. I think this would be great for some of those players, you know, who have the money to spend, and they can give the money back to the company. And, you know, don't feel bad because, you know, you don't have access to Carnage right away. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have access to the uniform, and you can spend the time building him up and whatever it is that you want to do, or, you know, try to get those uniform XPs, however you want to play it. But I want players to keep that in mind. 7 years of Marvel Future Fight. 7 years of Marvel Future Fight. 150 million registered users, agents across those 7 years. That is a huge accomplishment for the team. Congratulations. Congratulations to the players. Hope to see you guys next time. Peace.